Morning, everybody. How we doing? Sam here, United People's TV. It's Monday. It's bank holiday. No days off for United People's TV, though. No days off for you. And it might not be a good night. I'll be completely honest. I'm not going into this Crystal Palace game full of beans, full of energy, full of enthusiasm. I don't mean to be too negative this morning, but I'm not looking forward to the game tonight. Spoiler alert. Later in the show, I'm going to run through the starting 11. I was planning on doing one this weekend, but I didn't do it. So we can do that a little bit later in the show. And, of course, Harry Maguire will not be in that team. Another injury. Anyway, start the show. I'm going to do a roundup of the weekend, all the results. We'll speak about Spurs yesterday, being Spurs. We'll speak about Kieran McKenna and Ipswich. We'll then run through the news that came from Sky Sports yesterday about Bayern Munich reaching out to Erik Ten Hag's agent to see if he will be interested in the Bayern Munich job. I'm going to run through that. It's not very surprising news in any way, shape or form. I was expecting it, and now it's happened. We'll also speak about Jim Ratcliffe cracking the whip, really, continuing to. And he needs to, and I'm happy about it. I'll run through that. And transfers, Sancho, Greenwood, Carrington developments. As always, there's always a lot to speak about. Who's here from the member gang, from the mod gang? So have a look. T, Ant, and Josh, I can see you there. Carl as well. Good morning to all of you. Thanks for tuning in. I suppose it's not a bank holiday everywhere in the world, is it? We've got Teresa. I saw you there as well. Who's here from the member gang? We've got Haley. Good morning to you. Amir, Dan, Toby. We've got Mania, Tyler, Matt Bird, Foxy. We've got Cedric, and we've got Aaron. Good morning to all of you, and Akash as well. On Facebook, Kieran Robinson, I can see you there. We've got John Mort. Good morning to you. Ben Mogi, Johnny Rhodes, Ramalingam, and we've got Steve. Good morning to all of you. So another like, anyway, I'm going to show you some interesting, an interesting bit of data on injuries later in the show, which I think you all know, but to get it written down, big up to Steve for helping with the research. Let's dive into the show. Actually, no, we can't dive into the show because Anthony has kicked off the show with 5 gifted memberships. So let's whip Roy Keane out. Come on, Roy. Where are you?
It's his job, isn't it? That's his job to make saves. When I hear people saying someone's a good shot stopper or a goalkeeper,
That's his job.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
I do like that one. I don't think I'm going to change that for a week. I like that one. But this result yesterday, right? I couldn't be asked to watch the City game. I couldn't be asked to watch any other games that happened this weekend, if I'm being completely honest. Spurs are just getting steamed. That's their 4th loss in a row. I think they got, was it Burnley next before they play City as well? I don't think it annoys me completely that that no one's really speaking about Spurs with the same energy, speaking about Postecoglou with the same energy they're speaking about Erik Ten Hag. I think it's probably more the fact this is his first season and obviously built up some credit after what happened at the start. But just Spurs, man, this Premier League. Right, I'm gonna start off the show by putting you in a bad mood. And I'm not sure it's going to really improve throughout the show. I'll be completely honest. But look at that league table now, right? Let's go nice and full screen just to increase the misery. 8th place right now. Of course, if we finish 8th, that would be the worst ever season we've had in the Premier League. I believe 7th under Moyes was the worst that it has been. And I'll be totally honest. I'm not saying it's a probability, but it feels quite likely that I think we'll finish in 8th place. And of course, if we finish in 8th place and we don't win the FA Cup final, there is a genuine possibility that Man United don't have European football next season. At all. Champions League, Europa League, or Conference League. That is a real possibility. Now, we've done a poll on here. We don't need to do another poll, right? But we had a poll on here previously saying, would you rather have Europa Conference football or would you rather have no football at all? And quite a lot of you say, well, I'd rather have none. Then we can just spend a whole season like genuinely rebuilding, not pretending that you might be able to compete somewhere in Europe. It's just like, no, your whole season, you're basically playing once a week apart from when you play cup games. We might beat City in the FA Cup final. I mean, we might, right? I don't really care about the... I don't have enough energy left in the Premier League season to argue the toss about whether it's better we finish 6th or 7th or 8th. It's like crap, shit, or awful. Which one do you want? None of them are a nice option, and I don't really care that much. But we'll speak about the Crystal Palace game tonight because it is important. It is still important. Something I do care about, not care about, but I want to speak about. It's an absolute congratulations here to Kieran McKenna, right? I don't think there's been a manager who has gone to a club and got back-to-back promotions in their first 2 seasons from League One straight through to the Premier League. What Kieran McKenna has done there at Ipswich, joined them when they were 12th in League One. This season, 96 points, 46 games, 91 goals scored. I know that Nigel Adkins did it twice in a row, but I don't think they were his first 2 seasons at Southampton. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, he went in there and his first 2 seasons back-to-back Premier League. Now, of course, if you look at the Premier League this season, was it? I can't remember. I think it was. Was it Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United who came up this season? Because I think it was. Forest beating... Was it West Ham they beat the weekend? No, Sheffield United. Ooh. Big result for them. They might avoid it. So, Kieran McKenna, last season, if you looked at Burnley under Vincent Kompany, they were flying in the Championship. It's going to be difficult for him, of course, in the jump up. But just an absolutely incredible achievement for somebody who was written off by so many as, Solskjaer's failing, and therefore everything to do with the club right now is just all completely awful. Gut it all, rip it all out, start completely afresh. Kieran McKenna's proven people wrong. And it's just an incredible achievement. And of course, I'll be watching him closely when he comes up to the Premier League to see how he copes. It's going to be difficult, but as I said, I used the Burnley example of them shining in the Championship and then getting demolished in the Premier League. But fingers crossed he does, because if you've watched Ipswich this season, they're a very progressive team. You watch them, they play good football. Is what I'm saying. And the Championship is not an easy league at all. Something that I thought was pretty cool. Is it pretty cool? It's his job. But Jason Wilcox there at the weekend watching Man United's under-18s beat Everton. I think they won 3-1. Bianchetti got another couple of goals. But look, that's one technical director there in Darren Fletcher standing next to an actual technical director in Jason Wilcox. And that bridging that gap between, not the gap, I don't know the right way to describe it, the pathway between the academy teams, all of the youngest ages are under 14s. I think one that was at the Albert Phelan Premier League North Cup. Should have pulled the photo up, actually. It's Michael Carrick and his boy, who, obviously not Michael Carrick, but his boy won that cup. Just the academy teams are in very good nick, very good condition, very exciting. And Jason Wilcox, having been under-18s head coach at City, having been the academy director at City, knows a lot about running a very successful academy. And he comes into United's academy at the right time to be able to maximise what we've already got. Rather than being the revolution that's already happened, Jason Wilcox will help just evolve it up that level. What are you saying down here? Teresa, Kieran McKenna trolls now touting him as a future manager. Look, we're going to have to watch how maybe some people were looking at Vincent Kompany last year. Incredible. The Championship, no matter how good you are in the Championship, the step up to the Premier League is just, it's nuts. Going from League 2 to League 1, a lot of what you did in League 2 can exist in League 1. You need to improve, sure, but the gap's not massive. League 1 to the Championship is a fair jump, but still, it can be done. You can survive there. Championship to the Premier League is another level entirely. And you really have to just evolve massively. So it'll be interesting to watch how he does. But enough about other teams and enough about other managers, because I want to speak about our manager. and speak about Erik ten Hag. After confirmation last night from Sky Sports that Erik ten Hag's, that Bayern Munich have reached out to speak to Erik ten Hag's agent. All right, so let's quickly run through what the news says. All right, then we'll have a conversation this morning. Bayern Munich have placed Erik ten Hag on a new list of possible managers to succeed Thomas Tuchel. But his focus is on United. Sky Sports News understands that Bundesliga giants have touched base with ten Hag's agent, Kees Vos, to inquire if the Dutchman would be open to taking over at the Allianz Arena. All right? Sean, you're down there saying I think the ten Hag thing with Bayern Munich is pretty normal stuff. I'm not coming here like shocked and surprised. I think I've been saying it for a few weeks. At some point, they're probably going to contact him. And truth be told, Bayern Munich went after Xabi Alonso and they couldn't get him. Ralf Rangnick was about to happen. So it's not as if Erik ten Hag is absolute top of the tree and top of their list. Brilliant. In that sense. And it's also not surprising to me that they've reached out. I've stood by my own sort of opinion. And this is an opinion, right? I know that not everyone agrees with this. I think Erik ten Hag would go to Bayern Munich and be a very good manager. I put a fair amount of money on it. Whether or not he'd have the ability to take the wind out of Xabi Alonso and Bayer Leverkusen sales is a different question, right? Bayern Munich won the league title 11 years in a row. Harry Kane comes in, scores 30, 40 goals, and they don't win the league. So Bayern are trying to change the status quo. But I want your opinion on this, all right? I want your opinion on Bayern Munich speaking to Erik ten Hag's agent. I don't need your opinion on whether Erik ten Hag should stay or blah, blah, blah. It's the right thing to do. But I'm saying just kind of in isolation, just reacting to this news. What's your thoughts on it? Someone gifted some membership. Somebody gifted some memberships. Oh, my God. Still drunk. Magmamo has gifted 10 memberships. How you doing, dude? Magma. Reminds me of Austin Powers. Magma. I think I said that last time. I read your name out as well.
Ready!
I do think Garnacho's overhead was better than that one. No offence to Rooney. Let me read out some of your comments here. Gus saying if he does go to Bayern Munich, his total football will demolish the German league. Well, it won't demolish the German league, all right? Bayer Leverkusen have demolished the German league. Season undefeated. All competitions undefeated, by the way. What an incredible achievement that would be. Josh, they can piss off. Ten Hag's United's manager shouldn't be reaching out the heart of the season, regardless of our position. I mean, that happens. I don't think I'm getting particularly offended. I wouldn't say at the height of the season. We've got 4 Premier League games left, and no one really gives a toss. We've got the FA Cup final, of course. What did it? If United wants to keep Erik ten Hag, then he will stay, no doubt, says Ryan. And that I do personally agree with. And I also don't think Erik ten Hag would. I suppose it all comes down to what the conversations are between INEOS and Ten Hag. Like that interview that he gave with Gary Neville, right? I spoke about that in the show. I did a reaction as well, which is, and again, this is my opinion and my interpretation. I understand that, but Erik ten Hag has never really struck me as a manager who is massively panicking about his position. He's like reeling and reacting. I think he's nibbled a lot more in press conferences, and I think that was brought up by Gary Neville, saying like you're starting to sort of bite back a bit more. So I suppose in that sense, that's kind of indicative of a manager under stress, but it feels like Ten Hag feels quite comfortable. And maybe that's coming from the conversations he has had with INEOS about his position. Of course, I've always hoped, I expected it to somehow, before the end of the season, it's either going to get a statement of support or, Erik ten Hag's going to be replaced at the end of the season. And maybe not. Maybe that's all going to be kept behind closed doors. I'm going to go Facebook and see what you're saying here. Carabao saying if I was him, I would go. He's not appreciated enough in this team. Oh, hold on here, like, all right. Our season's been awful. Tons of mitigating circumstances and factors, which I've spoken about so much. But a ton of things that Erik Ten Hag has got wrong as himself. A lot of frustrating things with tactics, with approaches. And he's spoken about them in a bit more detail. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised to see this on the flip side as well. I'm not surprised to see Thomas Tuchel being on Man United's radar to replace Erik Ten Hag. Because if Erik Ten Hag, hypothetically, if he does go, Thomas Tuchel should be right towards the top of anybody's lists. I don't even know who would be on the list of any United fan who wanted Erik Ten Hag out now. You've got Thomas Tuchel. I think Ruben Amorim has committed himself to Sporting Lisbon for the time being as well, in the same way that Xabi Alonso did with Leverkusen. People randomly keep throwing in the name Zidane. It's just like, just give up, people. Zidane is sitting there waiting for the French job. Right? Sitting there waiting for the French job. And he'll get that French job. And he'll probably be very successful at it. He's not coming. He's not coming. Roberto De Zerbi was a manager who a lot of people had some energy for, but Brighton's fall off this season, woo, that's been pretty. What is their form? Brighton's form must be bad. Look at that. They've won 1 out of their last 5. Beat Villa at the weekend, fair enough. But not many people are speaking about him anymore. Either way, I'm not surprised to see Bayern Munich contacting Erik Ten Hag. I don't think Erik Ten Hag will force his way out the door. Let's be honest, he's not exactly in a position of massive power to negotiate that. Rob, thank you very much, dude. Saying you like the new hoodie. You know what I've been saying about the merch? Been getting the samples through. This is going to be the fit for the new hoodies. There he is. I love this. I love this design. The Sandman design. But it's really high quality, really thick, nice fit. It's actually got a phone pocket inside the actual pocket here. It's like an extra pocket you can just snip your phone in, which I think is pretty cool. But still not going to be releasing the merch just yet. I don't feel comfortable releasing something that's like this at this moment in time with United being this bad, if I'm being completely honest. But then I'm hoping for the end of the season. That's what I'm going to aim for. People talking about Solskjaer in the comments, this and that. I did my video the other day after the Gary Neville interview with Erik Ten Hag, and I said, look, honestly, all things considered, taking all the evidence in, I think I want to see Erik Ten Hag get not a season under INEOS guaranteed, but I want to see Erik Ten Hag be our manager at the start of next season. Will it work out? Absolutely not guaranteed. Absolutely not guaranteed. But I explained it all in there, and a massive part of it isn't. No, it's not a massive part of it. It's all of it. It doesn't really matter what I think. It doesn't really matter what you think. It all matters what Jim Ratcliffe thinks. It all matters what INEOS think. Now, I have covered everything. I feel like I've covered everything when it comes to the INEOS takeover and the stuff that Jim Ratcliffe has been doing since he gained power. And there's been plenty of it. And this latest little sort of snippet from The Athletic, I really quite like. I think it was last week where reports or news came out that INEOS had told Manchester United staff that they're going to be returning to a work from office environment, which is a slightly backwards way of thinking, if I'm being completely honest. However, it's indicative of an ownership structure who does not trust the staff it employs. That's the reason it's happening. And it's not to say that in a year's time, after Man United massively improve and they cut the workforce down and everybody's just becoming more and more efficient, that they go, well, you know what? You've now shown that we can trust you. And that comes back in. But it feels like Man United staff have lost that privilege by being, let's be honest, not crap, by underperforming. And then this came out at the weekend from Adam Crafton. Jim Ratcliffe calls untidiness of Manchester United's facilities a disgrace in an email to club staff. Jim Ratcliffe sent an email to all United staff to highlight the lack of tidiness in parts that he witnessed at the club's Old Trafford Stadium and Carrington, describing one area as a disgrace. Following the visit, Ratcliffe circulated the email, which has been seen by The Athletic, to describe the tidiness of the club's IT department as a disgrace, while adding that, frankly, the dressing rooms in the under-18s and 21s were not much better. And this is the reason he's doing it, right? And this is the reason why Jim Ratcliffe's voice will carry respect, I suppose. INEOS know what they're doing. From day one, they've known what they need to do, and they've started to act on it. And bit by bit, email by email, decision by decision, Jim Ratcliffe is trying to raise the standards of this club. And I'll tell you what, he is going to piss a lot of people off. There's going to be plenty of disgruntled members of staff. In the same way that there's going to be plenty of disgruntled members of Manchester United's playing squad who are going to be angry, and they're probably going to start leaking stuff because their comfortable environment that they've existed in. Because if your standards and your ambitions are to win the Premier League, which Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS are, then the facilities that Man United have got, and I'm going to speak about Carrington, I'll speak about Old Trafford as well, I've done that loads, then the standards are through the floor. If your ambitions are to just go into the top four, which the Glazers were and have been the whole way through, then what you see at Carrington, what you've seen at Old Trafford, that's fine, man. Doesn't really make a difference. Yeah, they're good enough. And that's what's changing. And more of it, please, Jim. As I said, I'm not sure I totally agree with the concept of forcing everyone to work back from the office, but I think it's just indicative of an ownership that just doesn't trust the workers that they employ. And it's just the evidence is mounting up and piling up. I think there's 1,100 staff being employed by Manchester United, and it wouldn't surprise me to see like 25, 30% cut. Just Man United are a massively inefficiently run football club. Bloat, overspend, slow processes, poor facilities, poor standards, poor employee standards, poor playing staff standards. And INEOS knows how to run a business. And that's what they're doing here. Bit by bit, decision by decision. This is the rebuild that we have been asking for. All right? Stuff like this has been needed for a long time. And I'm more of it. As I said, he's going to piss a lot of people off, but I'll be honest, the people that it will piss off are the people that I don't want to be at Manchester United. The people that it will please are the people that have the same sorts of ambitions that we have as fans. There's members of staff there that go, Man United, we used to win the Premier League. We were the Premier League. Look at us now. And those people will have the energy to try and take United back up to the top. But those people who got it comfortable in their environment, the boss never comes in, put my feet up, play Sporkle all day. Woo! I never did it once. I did. Did it loads. Anyway, you have to work in a call centre at some point. I spend way too much time in a call centre. Yeah, more of it. More of it. Josh, you were saying this is the rebuild we need first. Oh, don't know, my voice just went there. First. Now we need to get rid of the old players. I'll speak about transfers a little bit later. Tyler's saying they all have a new boss. And man, that's a big thing, man. When takeovers and mergers happen, it doesn't matter what was happening before. You got a new boss now. And he does things differently. INEOS do things differently. So I'm quite happy with this, if I'm being completely honest. And this, I think, is a really... I've said this for some time, right? I've said this for some time, that Manchester United, a new Old Trafford or a renovated Old Trafford would be brilliant. And it would be very symbolic, and it would feel like, for a lot of us United fans, it'd be like, yeah, man, this feels like the beginning of this version of Manchester United. I loved my watching United in the 90s and the 2000s as a kid, and it was brilliant. But then let's not talk about the next decade that came after that. But this is the beginning of like something new, something up there. Great. And a new and refurbished stadium, a new all refurbished stadium, would be very symbolic of that. But Carrington is such a bigger priority for Man United and INEOS in the short term, because that's where your playing staff and your players and your staff, that's where you spend 90% of your week. That's where you go Monday to Friday. That's where you train. That's where you speak to everyone. That's where that's where bonds are built. So to hear that INEOS are planning to overhaul Carrington this summer is fantastic news. Now, I'm probably going to do a deeper dive and a video on this a little bit later in the week. So I won't go too deep into this conversation because, of course, we've got loads of transfer stuff to talk about and we've got the game tonight. But INEOS immediately investing millions into Carrington this summer is such a necessity. Also, it has no bearing on... I think it does have bearing on FFP. Well, not FFP, PS. Sod knows what it is. Financial restrictions. But I think you can... it's because you're investing inside facilities to do with the academy and stuff like that. I think there's like mitigating circumstances where you can offset those costs. Right. I think so anyway. In the long term, I think the conversation around a brand new facility should be had. You remember that Man United were speaking to a couple of local golf courses, I think. Obviously, golf courses would have very good drainage. The ground itself would have been very looked after. Like Man United's quite swampy around Carrington. Yeah, Justin, you're saying, I'm pretty sure investing in infrastructure and women's teams is offset against... I think it is. I really do think it is. So this is a good thing. Now, of course, there's only so far they can go, but when it comes to Manchester United, we know what big problems we've had this season about facilities at the club and also injuries and injury prevention. How can you do that? You can improve your facilities. And that's what this is. And it's needed. Jordan, thanks for gifting the membership there, dude. Anthony's saying they've already have several people who are key to Leicester's new facility on board. I'm pretty sure... What's her name? I can't remember the name of it. There's a woman who led the whole Leicester training ground. You know, the one that they built with, was it McLaren? I think it was. Designed by McLaren. I think she's on board and has been for a while. This is a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. I personally don't think that just improving Carrington is enough. I think you need more. You need something new. You need something modern. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Now, let's move on to speak about this, because I think this little comment here from Erik ten Hag I think is really important. He was speaking about standards. He was speaking about INEOS. He was speaking about, quite a lot of things. And he said this. He goes, I think every manager wants winning attitudes, great mentality, big personalities, but this is the thing I want to focus on. Big personalities to perform under stress is what every manager is looking for. The truth is, in this club, it is extremely important to perform under stress. And I think that there, just the way he's worded that, is really important. Because if I was going to say that Erik ten Hag has got a lot of failures this season, right? And a lot of failures that are on him. There's a lot of mitigating circumstances outside of his control that have all affected his ability to make decisions. But they're all involved in each other. But performing under stress, playing for Manchester United is only comparable with playing for a few clubs. Playing for Manchester United is incomparable to any club in the Premier League, apart from maybe Liverpool. And Man United's players, when it comes to performing under stress, that's where they have failed the most this season. In those situations where they have to manage the game, where it's on them to see a game out. That's where we failed the most. And that's probably going to be the biggest thing that INEOS, Ratcliffe, Jason Wilcox, and whatever happens this summer, that we have to make sure that the players that we sign can perform under, not when it's rosy, not when it's all, butterflies and rainbows. When the chips are down and your backs are against the wall, who can you then turn towards? Those are the players that we miss the most inside this squad. Now, I want to have a quick pause. I say a quick pause, more than a quick pause, because Dean, the main Don, I can't wait. So when the merch does finally launch, I'm going to have a special little bit of design, bit of merch I'm going to give to anybody who has gifted 50 memberships, just like Dean has done there. So let's take a little moment out and say, first of all, thank you to Dean, and also hear from somebody who's a big fan of the show, massive fan of the show.
When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
Man, I love that. I love Cantona. If you were too young, I always think about that with United fans these days, man. Like, I've got a lot of sympathy for you that you didn't get to witness United in the 90s and 2000s. Honestly, I genuinely have quite a lot of sympathy for you. Because it was so much fun. Like, we're talking like 20 years of just fun. Of just brilliance. Of just watching like an era unfold in front of your eyes. When you're in it, it's kind of easy to take it for granted. But now I'm out of it. Boy, I was lucky. And that's where luck does exist. It doesn't matter. You can't choose where you're born as a kid. You can't choose when you're born as a kid. I was born into the right time. Anyway, we'll be back at some point, United. We will be. It's been a rough ride, though. It's been a rough ride. Now, I want to run through a quick conversation here for the next 10 minutes about transfers. And we can speak about Jadon Sancho, speak about the video I did yesterday, speak about the BBC's sort of valuation list that they've done before we move on to the Crystal Palace game. All right, and there's some important conversations. I wanted some data I want to show you on injuries. And then we'll run through a starting 11. You can let me know who you think is going to start centre-back, because I ain't got no idea. Good luck getting this starting 11 right tonight. That's all I'm going to say. Steve, you legend, man. You gifted 10 memberships as well. Boy, what a show today. Bank holiday.
Ready! It defies description.
10 out of 10. Ross, you're saying I was a Kanchelskis guy before switching to Cantona like my dad. When I was a kid, my two players were Giggs and Solskjaer. First of all, because I was left-footed. Second of all, because I was always a substitute. So put those two together. Anyway, this conversation I thought would be an interesting one to have this morning, all right? And it was based off this. So basically, the BBC had a little conversation with CIES, who are like they're like data scientists out in Switzerland. They love data in football. Anyway, so they've looked at and they've run through a list of player valuations based on age, based on contract length, based on, I suppose, quality and ability, and sort of availability in the market. And I was reading sometimes I go back and read the comments on videos, sometimes I don't. But honestly, I put Rashford down as 110 mil. And I can see that there's a lot of people who were laughing at me for that. And the reason I've done that is based on the contract that he has, age, and people might... Rashford's a very good player. Again, I know not everybody would agree, and there are a majority of people that didn't agree with that. But 75 million won't get Marcus Rashford. It might open the door to negotiations, but it won't get Marcus Rashford. And you know what I found very, very interesting? Now, let me see if I can pull this up, because I'm going to do this in I've got a video planned on Marcus Rashford, right? I'm not going to release it just yet. I'm going to do some more research on it, but let me see if I can find this. Here you go, right? I found this very interesting. I don't know whether you will. Let's have a look. So last season, right? Last season, Marcus Rashford scored 30 goals. Okay? Had an absolute stormer of a season. Do you remember that Sky Sports did a poll? And I think it was like about nearly 60,000 fans have responded. Obviously, not all of them be United fans. What percentage of people do you think last season, after Rashford scored 30 goals, had Rashford down as a player that they would keep? Bear in mind, last season, at the end of the season, 93.6% of fans said they would keep Jadon Sancho. 90.9% of fans said they would keep Bruno Fernandes. So at the end of a season where Marcus Rashford has scored 30 goals, had an absolute stormer, what percentage of United fans do you think said, I would keep Marcus Rashford? I have a couple of guesses in the comments, and I'll pull up the table here. I think a lot of you are laughing at me at saying 110%. 110%? 110 mil. Maybe I've overinflated it. This is about opinions. All right? Look at this. Marcus Rashford down there. 56% of fans. So at the end of a season where Marcus Rashford scored 30, had a fantastic season, won Samat Busby Player of the Year, Fans Player of the Year, I think, and still, at the end of that season, only 56% of United fans said that they would keep him. So I think it goes to show you, like, Stretford Paddock did a video the other day on Marcus Rashford. Just like a little, kind of in the style of the mini documentaries that we've been starting here, right? And the comments on that video were just like brutal, like annihilating them for sort of presenting one side of the story. It's, there is a lot of, there will be some hate towards Rashford in the United fan base from some people. There'll be some abuse towards Rashford in the United fan base, but quite a fair bit of it is going to be fair criticism. But I was very surprised when I went back to look at these results. 20% more United fans would rather have kept Donny van de Beek than Marcus Rashford after a season where he's just scored 30 goals. And if that was a sentiment last season after he scored 30 goals, then when you take that into account and you look at what's happening this season, then you can really see how much energy and anger people have towards it. And Paddy's saying this looks old. Well, it's nice to see you tuning in and listening. That's from last season. Found it interesting. Jadon Sancho, of course, right there is the top of that list. Last season, 93.6%. And Jadon Sancho, look, I've made my opinion very, very, very clear on Jadon Sancho. I do not care what he does at Dortmund. I do not care if he scores a hat-trick away at PSG and scores a 40-yard screamer in the Champions League final. Good. We'll get more money for you. But you're not coming back to Man United. Was the environment at Man United conducive to elite players improving? Nope. Absolutely wasn't. But I wouldn't give him another chance. I wouldn't give anybody a second chance. I think second chance... and anybody who's suggesting Greenwood to come back would be like, get out. Vamos from the chat. Anyway, Dortmund are going to come in and try and lowball us for Jadon Sancho after spending so much time suggesting that we were lowballing them for Jadon Sancho. It's going to be really ironic watching that happen. Now, Erik Ten Hag spoke about Jadon Sancho, said, look, we had a visit with him. I think United have been going out there, watching his performances. We had a talk with him during his stay there, and we will keep going with this process. We will continually be in contact. Sell him. Sell him, sell him, sell him. Get good money. I think down here on this list, they put Sancho down as like 43 mil. No. I'll take 43 mil for Jadon Sancho. Yes, please. Stevie saying, I'm definitely in the sell group, but we're not going to get 100 mil for him. Yeah, maybe I was overexcited when I said 110 mil for Marcus Rashford. I didn't go into that video and sort of prepare all the answers in my head. I was like, I'll just do it whilst I'm doing the video. But 75 mil is not going to be enough for Man United to sell Marcus Rashford. Sunil saying, playing from the back with Onana has cost us points. We lose the ball mostly and concede goals but rather than building play. Ten Hag is sacking himself here. Injuries. Injuries have played a massive part of that. Anyway, as I said, saw this as well. Screw a loan move. I would rather Man United had just sold Mason Greenwood rather than loaning him out to Getafe, but I understand that because he was out of football for so long, that there were so many question marks around him. I think a lot of those question marks are gone now, so there's absolutely no need for Manchester United to even consider another loan spell. Absolutely sod that. Sell Mason Greenwood, get the money back in. Sod Sancho, sell him, get the money back in. Sell both of those two players, reinvest the money. Let's focus on individuals who are going to be part of this club going forward. End the conversation. End the story. No loan move, man. Sod that. Miz saying, you love the hoodie. Thank you very much, dude. I can't wait to release this merch. I seriously can't wait to release this merch. I spent so much time on this merch, but I now feel that the quality is really there. Like if you do get this, you'll feel how thick and like heavyweight feel the hoodie has. It's got a real nice hood, no drawstrings. It's just a nice fit. I think so anyway. So then you're looking at players who could be going and then players who could be coming in. Michael Elise is one of those players. Man United are on that list. And I suppose this is going to be a player that everyone's watching tonight. So this is a perfect way for me to do a segue. Michael Elise. There's going to be a lot of eyes on him. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Eze and just a lot of eyes on Crystal Palace in general. They're in really good form, right? Let's have a quick look at the form table here. Crystal Palace there. They've won 3 out of their last 4. They won at Anfield 1-0. They won 5-2 against West Ham. They won 2-0 against Newcastle. And they drew against Fulham. Right? Their form under Glasner has been very, very impressive. And Crystal Palace are heading towards the end of the season with a very different energy. Obviously, they had Roy Hodgson. And it's just like their season was sort of like... And then he got sacked. And then Glasner came in. And they got the new manager bounce, and they're really enjoying themselves. And it's not a good time to go play them at Selhurst Park. At all. Even if we had a full team. Even if we had, like, do we have any fit centre-backs in this squad now? I think Johnny Evans might be fit tonight. But I don't actually know. Harry Maguire picking up another training injury. Yeah, Cambuala might be fit. Evans might be fit. I've got no idea. As I said, good luck guessing Man United starting 11 tonight. Harry Maguire was already playing with an injury, and then he's got another injury now. He might miss the FA Cup final. We'll see. And as I said, I was going to show you some data on injuries, and I'll show you it now. Because a lot of people look at Manchester United's problems this season and our injuries. And the amount of injuries we've had is just disgusting. And the amount of training injuries that keep happening, also disgusting. And a lot of fingers pointing towards Erik ten Hag. It's your training methods that are causing all of these problems. There's clearly some issues with training, but to suggest that all the problems are because of Erik ten Hag are completely false. And I'll show you some data now. Apney saying, I have a feeling that a cunning slime ball in market. Dortmund have used Sancho in the Champions League run, but could have evaluated that he's not consistent, disciplined enough. Sorry. Sometimes people send really long comments in. You're saying that they've evaluated he's not consistent and disciplined enough for them to purchase. I mean, he has been good in the Champions League. But then if you look at the league, what is it like? 17 appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists? I don't know. Not much. 43 mil, I'd definitely take. Yes, please. But injuries, all right? Probably the worst season I can remember when it comes to injuries at Manchester United, but far from just on Erik ten Hag. And all you've got to do is look at this data, all right? So this data here, big up Steve for doing this, shows the total amount of injuries that have happened season on season in the last few seasons, all right? Spoiler alert. These problems we're having this season might well be the worst that they have been, but it's far from an isolated... It's like, oh, we didn't have these problems before Erik ten Hag. All these problems are because of Erik ten Hag and the training methods. That's just like provably false. Our injury problems have existed for years at this club. 2019-20, that was Solskjaer. More injuries than the league average, but not horrendous. COVID season, more injuries than anybody else in the league. Nearly double, no, not nearly double the league average, but a lot. The year after, only Chelsea had more injuries than Man United that season in 2021-22. The year after, nobody had more injuries than Manchester United. The year this season, I think it'd probably be Newcastle. I think they've had the most days out. I think in terms of incidents that have happened, I think Man United are the highest this season. The point here, we've had serious injury problems consistently every single season at this club for years and years and years and years, with loads of different players, loads of different managers. What's the common denominator? Medical staff, facilities, injury prevention programs, the elite professional environment. That's your mitigating circumstances. And what's happened under Erik ten Hag this season, because of maybe his injury, maybe his training methods, and because of our NBA-style football with massive gaps that the players have got to cover with intense sprints, has exacerbated the problem. Man, this problem has existed under multiple managers before, man. And that is something that INEOS have got to fix up. And that's why this, voice really high, this is so important. The injury prevention in this club has to be so much better. So much better. Right, let's speak about the game here tonight. I was going to speak about that, but you know what? I can't be arsed. You can just get in the bin. What do we think this is going to be? Right? I mean, who's even fit? Like, Varane's gone. Vamos, he's injured. You might get Cambuala. We can't actually see him up there. Forgot about that. Cambuala, Evans. Yeah. Well, who's... Let me just move these along there. Nearly done. Should have done this beforehand. I didn't quite see that the names were off. Cambuala's there. Evans is there. Ogunai from the academy, and Harry Mass. He's hiding up there. What changes are you making? So we know full well, Maguire, you're up there. Well, not up there. You're down there. You're injured. You can't play. Right? Malacia, I think he's alive, but he's not fit. Martinez, he's not fit. Lindelof, he's not fit. Varane, he's not fit. Is McTominay fit today? I don't actually know. I mean, look, if they're fit, then I suppose they pick themselves. But do you think Casemiro keeps his place at centre back? Quite a lot of you are saying that McTominay's out. I don't think McTominay is fit. Oh, that was it. No, he jarred his knee, didn't he, towards the end of the game? Remember that? We were hyperextended, and it looked like it looked like one of those bad injuries that he might miss the Euros. So I don't think McTominay's even fit. It's a client view saying, "Oh, McTominay's plays centre back." I don't think McTominay's even fit. I think probably Casemiro does remain at centre back. So if Evans is fit, then you're probably looking at that. Evans and Casemiro at centre back. Another partnership. Woohoo! Another brand new partnership. But then what happens in midfield? You know what I find really, really odd? I don't really understand what's going on with Amrabat. Bear in mind, we paid 10 million. We pushed hard to get Amrabat. And we paid 10 million for the privilege. I'm not saying that he's the Messiah, he's a solution. But like shit me, like Eriksen is not the solution either. Both of them were equally as slow. I think Amrabat has the ability to cover a bit more ground. He doesn't have the first couple of yards. But I find it very strange how little he's been used. Frogman, you're saying Sabitzer was a better option than Amrabat. If Sabitzer didn't have injury problems at Manchester United, I think we would have quite easily have kept him on. But the injury problems were there last season. That's the reason he didn't come in. But people are like, Amrabat's not made for the Premier League. I don't really care that much about all of that. I'm looking at what we've got. I'm telling you, Eriksen is not the answer. He's not been awful every time he's played. He's made some mistakes. He really's not been that. I think he's not been as bad as people suggest he's been. And of all the players I hyped, that's the one I ballsed up on the most. And I learned a valuable lesson with the Amrabat signing, which I'm going to try and take into this summer. I think I got so obsessed with the profile of Amrabat that in my mind, it was the perfect fit. I still don't really understand it, if I'm honest. He definitely wasn't fit when he came in. But it's just like, Eriksen's not the answer. And I don't think you can try anything else. You could throw in Finley McAllister, who's the under-18s captain, but that's not going to happen. He hasn't even made it onto the bench yet. Dudley, you're saying we're losing tonight? I wish I could come here with... That's weird. I've got a real echo in my ears now. I wish I could come here with mad positive energy here tonight, but we'll speak about the predictions in a bit. But in terms of my team prediction, I would predict that Casemiro would keep his place, and if Johnny Evans is fit, then Johnny Evans would start, and if Johnny Evans isn't fit, then Cambuala would start, and if both of those are injured, then yeah, good luck trying to guess. I've got no idea. If both of those are injured, then you might get Louis Jackson drafted through from the under-18s. I mean, it could happen, but maybe not. Or maybe you might even see Diogo Dalot get drafted in there, and then we play Harry and Matt. I don't know. Weird. It's probably, that's probably going to be the midfield three. Probably will be. Actually, sod that. I've completely forgotten. Bruno might miss the game tonight because of his broken hand. It might be the first game ever in his career that he misses through injury, which is hilarious because I've got a video prepared and coming out on Bruno Fernandes where inside there I speak about how he's never missed a game through injury, and it might just be the fact that I recorded it like 2 days too early before he actually misses a game. I would expect Bruno to start tonight. Bruno does that. He'll play through painkillers. He probably won't play the full 90, but if Mason Mount's fit, then play Bruno, bring on Mount. Anyway. Front three, am I changing much? Rashford's not fit. Anthony scored against Burnley. Don't know. What's your prediction tonight? What is your prediction? I'll be honest. I think we're gonna lose. I don't know how many times I've actually predicted that on this channel, because I always try to go into a game from an optimistic perspective. But I think I'm going into this game with a sort of a. It feels like I'm switching towards that realistic perspective, if you want to call it that. I just think Palace are in excellent form. If we go back to this quote here from Erik Ten Hag about performing under stress, tonight against Crystal Palace will be an environment that we have to perform under stress. And so many times this season, these players have shown that they cannot perform under stress. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible for United to win tonight. It's just that I would predict it's going to be a tough game. If you look at how Palace are playing, Adam Wharton's come in, was signed in. He's looking glorious in midfield. You look at Eze and Elise in terms of the creative options they got going forward. Mateta has found his goal-scoring boots. And just Palace are in a good place right now with Glasner. They're enjoying the vibe. They're enjoying the energy towards the end of the season. And we're going in the opposite direction. And we're just trying to grind it out until the FA Cup final. The thing is that momentum is everything in football. And we need some sort of momentum switch before the FA Cup final. Thing is, we've got Palace away, then we've got Arsenal at home on Sunday. Although the thing is about Arsenal, it hasn't mattered what's going on. When Arsenal come to Old Trafford, we turn it on. We've been in some bad situations before, and they've been flying. Especially, was it when Rashford scored 2? Was it when Rashford scored 2? They were like top of the league and flying. And they came and just got pumped by us. Right, predictions down here in the comments. Let's see down here. Brighton away, Brighton away didn't scare me anywhere near as much as it would before. Like, Brighton are just not as good this season. Probably going to get pumped there 5-0. Well done, Sam. Tony, you're saying a 2-2 draw. 3-1 win for Palace, says Oleo. 2-2 draw, says Biker Boy. 2-1 win, says Teresa. 3-1 to Palace, says David. 3-2 win, says Amir. 3-0 Palace, says Michael. I'm faced with what we've got down here. Ollie say versus Casemiro in defence going to be funny. 1-1 says Kieran. Look, my prediction is a 2-1 defeat. All right. Prediction wise, with a starting 11. If I could do the Liam Neeson voice, I'd be like, good luck. Not Liam Neeson voice, whoever the bloke is in Taken who comes after him. That's what it feels like. Like, good luck tonight for United. Palace know how to play against us, right? Everybody knows how to play against us. They're going to leave the gaps. That I do agree with. I'm starting Anthony for the work rate off the ball, and I think work rate off the ball is going to be important tonight. Because if you give Palace the energy, and they get an early goal, and they enjoy themselves, they're going to start knocking it around us, and we'll just get pulled out of shape. Defensively, is it Casemiro and Evans? Is it Casemiro and Cambuala? I don't know. Whoever it is, it's naff. It's crap. And because of that, please, Erik, please, 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 get this team sitting in a formation which is compact enough to close the spaces. Please, please, please do not leave this part of the pitch empty. Because if you leave that part of the pitch empty against Crystal Palace, with the creators that they have in Eze and Elise and Wharton as well, and you give them the ability to progress the ball centrally and go straight towards Casemiro and Evans, Just throw up in my mouth. All right? Just throw up in my mouth. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I'm not predicting a good game tonight. Be a good game for the neutral. I don't think it'll be a good game for United fans. It is what it is. But look, thank you everybody for tuning in. Even on a bank holiday morning, you're all tuning in. I love the community that we've got here. And I love Man United. I'll always love the club. I've hated watching us this season in the Premier League. And hate's a strong word, but I really do hate what I've seen. Akash, you're saying, do you think that we need Elise, which I think is a fair question, given the reports that we've seen from Fabrizio Romano. Whether it's Elise, and I know you're going to have concerns about the hamstring injury problems, and I think it's fair to have those concerns. He's not been injury prone as in his career as a player, but there's been a reoccurrence of the hamstring problems this season, and it's been a problem. But whether it's Elise or somebody else, Manchester United need a winger whose first thought is not, how can I score a goal? His first thought is, how can I get this ball to that striker in the middle? Let me drift past this player. Let me have a little quick 1-2 and let me find Højlund in the middle. That is the winger that we need. A creator first and foremost. We've got our individualistic wingers already. Rashford and Garnacho, whose first thought process is, what can I do? But we need a creator. And Nico Williams, I've already done a video, and Nico Williams was, I think, top of my list as well. I can understand there's conversations to be had about Elise. I'll be watching him tonight, and I hope he has an absolute stinker. And I hope I'm wrong. But I'm predicting a 2-1 loss. I'll be here after the game. Enjoy your bank holiday Monday. Probably raining outside. Naturally. Big up to all of you. And Dean, thank you for gifting 50, dude. And thank you to everybody else who tuned in as well and gifted some memberships. Who else gifted some memberships? Let's quickly read those names out here. We've got... someone sent a super chat. Anthony saying McTominay's played defence for Scotland. It makes sense to play him there. He's injured. I don't think he'll start. Steve, you gifted 10. Jordan, you gifted 1. Magmamo, you gifted 10. And I think it was somebody at the start gifted 5. Damn it, don't know who it was. Big up to all of you. See you after the game. Don't be too upset.